kind. So I'll do portal here. And normally when I think of a portal, we're going to have to stick with a theme of some kind. So I'm not sure what kind. It could be like an elven theme. It could be an undead theme. It could be a celestial theme. There's a lot of different types. An orc portal, you know, I like that idea. I'll see what other people say, but I do like the orc one. I think that sounds good. Whenever I'm making any kind of point of interest, I'll start with the terrain first. So what I'll do is I'll create like 2 pillars or 2 towers, and then there's like we can use like a summoning circle made of blood or something that takes you into a different world, like a portal of some kind. So what I'll do first is I'll choose my terrain. So maybe some hills would be good, or maybe a mountain might work well. We'll start with the terrain first. Oopsie, there's an H in my mountain. I'm not sure how that got there. Oop. Sometimes this happens, and I'm also in the wrong style. Let's go back to fantasy world here. There we go. I'm just going to type in mountain. Actually, you know what? Let's stick with mountains. Let's use this one right here. I don't normally use these ones, so maybe it's a good idea to use one. So I'll put one here. I'm going to put another one right about here. I want it to be around the same size. Not perfectly, but close enough. So the 2 towers are going to be on top of here like this. So then I'll go over to orc. And then I'll choose this tower right here. Looks good. I'll go up a layer because it's going to be on top of it. So I'll bring the scale up a little bit. And then I'll put another. Well, you know, I kind of like this a little bit better, actually, because maybe I can put like some kind of glowing ball or something on top of that. That might be kind of interesting. So I'll place that there. And I want to make sure that these 2 are somewhat level with each other. So if I go select both of them, go to the hamburger menu, and then I go over to Align Distribute. I'm going to go ahead and center these vertically. And now they should center perfectly vertically. And that's helpful. Now, when I go to put the whatever's on top of them, they should be aligned. So I'll go ahead and put those 2 right there. Let's go ahead and put them a little closer together. Like this. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'm going to place a summoning circle. Let's go with using a blood one. Say that maybe they have to use some kind of blood magic or something. We'll go back to watercolor battle maps real quick. And I saw there's a couple blood ones, like this one right here. Looks kind of good. Let's put that one right about there. Make sure that it's kind of behind. So I think right about there looks good. It kind of lines up with the towers, so I think that looks kind of nice. And then we'll go ahead and put, let's go ahead and take also some summoning circles, and we'll go ahead and go like this. We're going to put it up a layer. I'm going to put it on top like that, so it looks like it's on top of that. And then what I might want to consider is maybe using a skull. So let's use this skull right here. Let's maybe use these ones. This one looks a little better. I'll put this up a layer. I'm going to place it just right on top like that. I'm going to go ahead and turn the shadow off. I'm going to go ahead and put that. I'm going to bring the saturation down, or the contrast a little down on this one. Bring the brightness up just so it kind of matches a little better. I'm going to put that skull. You know, I don't really care for that. I think I'm going to go with just a regular. I don't want to go with too much. So let's go with this one. Put a regular skull right there. Copy, paste. Actually, let me finish it first. Let's put that one there. Let's also put like a flame of some kind. Let's go with Inkarnate, and then I'll go through every single one. So obviously I'm using Pro to make this, but I'll put in fire, and then I'll grab maybe a flame from all the different styles. I think flame might be the wrong one. Let's try fire instead. Okay, let's use this one right here. This looks good. And I'm going to place that just like kind of right on top of the skull. What is this on? Layer 1. Let's move this down a couple layers. Layer 2. Push this down a couple layers. There we go. And I'll take this one, change the blend mode. Let's go with screen. And I'll just go ahead and place it right on top like that. And then I'll copy and paste that whole thing and then put it on top right here like this. There we go. Make sure it's lined up. Okay, that looks good so far. And then we will also go back to Fantasy World, and we should create some kind of a staircase or some kind of way for it to go up. So let me go ahead and take a look. You know, ruins is always not a bad idea, just to kind of show that, to give this kind of this illusion that, you know, when you open this portal, it only brings ruin. So some foreshadowing on what it's for by adding some ruins at the base, I think might not be a bad idea. Let's put one right there. Let's put a smaller one. No, first time chatter, no, it isn't available to everyone. If you upload a private asset, it's only available to you. And in fact, the problem is that I noticed is that if you have a map that has a private stamp on it, because we can't verify if that stamp is you made it yourself or not, the person who wants to clone that map that has that private asset, it will delete that private asset. So just kind of know that those stamps are specifically meant for your own personal use. People won't be able to clone a map and then have that private asset on it. Just kind of a heads up. We just can't confirm whether or not, you know, that stamp was made yourself or if it was made by somebody else. We don't really know. Okay, so we'll put some ruins there at the base. I think overall, this is kind of looking good so far. I kind of like the ruins at the base. Maybe some like cracked energy. Someone mentioned that. I kind of like that idea. Let's also add a light source. I always feel it's always good to add some kind of light sources to your POIs because they just kind of help. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and add light. I'm going to go with Inkarnate, and then I can look at all the different light options that I have. Let's go with, I do believe there is a light source actually in the sci-fi battle map style, red one. I think this will work kind of well. It's kind of a strong light source. Like, it's really odd. So I'm going to place it in the center there like this. I'm going to go through the blend modes, and maybe there's a particular blend mode that will work better. Just know that the blend modes, when you're putting this together, the background texture of the map that I'm working on, that blend mode might work really well on the texture that I'm using. But when you start applying blend modes to a full composition map, you might notice that the blend mode might act differently on a darker texture or a texture with a lot of artifacts. So just kind of keep in mind that blend modes are going to interact with things behind it or below it. Okay, so just kind of remember that. Like, this blend mode might work really well with this texture, but it might not work well when you go to apply that same blend mode to the light on your map that has all these textures on it and stuff. So just kind of a caveat to kind of understand that, okay? All right, so I think that light source, I think, works well. We'll go with lighten for now. I can copy and paste it and maybe put like another one, maybe closer to the center. I can go with normal, like this. Maybe I can put like a red in the center there, or I can choose overlay and then put some up here. I can put a red light maybe right here where the skull is. I could always do that. Let's put a light right there on the skull. Copy, paste. Another one here. And then also there is some watercolor battle maps has some really nice blood. And so to kind of show that there is a lot of blood on the ground and stuff, we'll take this blood right here. I'm going to go ahead and place it down first, and then I'll go ahead and change my blend modes to see which one's going to work better. I think overlay works best here. I'll bring the opacity down just a little bit, and I'll kind of place the blood here, and then maybe, I think there's a scrape mark, and so maybe this scrape mark would work really well right here. Which one did I use? Overlay. Go back, normal, overlay. Yeah, that looks good. And that way there's kind of this scrape mark with the portal. I think that looks good. I'll bring the scale up a little bit. So you kind of have this nice orc portal. Just remember, light sources are really, really, really helpful. Okay, so I'll go ahead and create group. We'll call this an orc portal. There's a whole lot more that you could add to it. First, I'll just go ahead and get the labeling done. Orc portal. I can go ahead and lock that since I'm not going to be editing that again anytime soon. The shortcut key is like an Alt L to lock, just so you know, or if you can look for it in the object list in here on the right panel. Okay, so orc portal almost done. The other thing that I would kind of add, which is kind of fun, is you can always use like a spell. And I believe it's in fantasy battle maps, but there's this red kind of swirly piece right here, and this might work really well. I could take this and then put it all the way in the back like this. Let's change the blend mode to, I think, normal, lighten, screen. I kind of liked screen. Let's keep that. And I'll kind of put like this eerie kind of wave kind of taking place. And I can even just spin it to even kind of trip you out a little bit. Whoa. That might be like another little touch that you can add in there. That looks good. Okay, I'll quickly save it. And then we'll go ahead and look at the list here. I saw a couple more in here. A skull dragon. Cool, I like that idea. All right, I'm just kind of going through the list here. I'll go ahead and make one of mine real quick. And then we'll go ahead and we'll make another one in the list. So I'm going to go ahead and make a steampunk tower, the one right next to the orc portal here. And since I've made these, I'm also going to lock them. So I'll select these two, lock them, and that way I don't accidentally select them. So I'll make that steampunk tower. A city built inside a skeleton. Love that too. Lots of skeleton stuff. That's an interesting one. Wonder why those are so popular. They must be in a lot of campaigns then. Interesting. I like that. We'll go ahead and put that in after we do our steampunk tower. So, when it comes to a particular style that we don't have, like we don't